another part of the shed restructuring or renovation, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to have a little bit of consistency with this video, which is so unlike me because I am a terrible YouTuber, absolutely. I'm just too enthusiastic. I kind of get on and get out here and steam into the job. A lot of enthusiasm, not a lot of pre-thought really, and then I kind of forget about what I've said on a previous video. But I just thought there was 3 comments that came in instantly, some really helpful comments on the last video that I put up, so I just thought I would address those before I crack on and move ahead with this project. First one was, and I forget the people's name, so please forgive me. I might try and patch up a little picture when I do the editing. But the first one was a guy said, yeah, what you need to do is get yourself a greenhouse heater. Well, I have, you can't see it, but it's in that box there. I've got a 120 watt bar heater that I'm going to be fitting, or tube heater that I'm going to be fitting in here, and that's just enough to keep the temperature above freezing, stop it getting really cold. It's quite popular actually on Amazon, so I might do a separate video on that heater once I've got it up and running. So yeah, thanks for that comment, but I'm ahead of you there already. Someone suggested that right at the very beginning. Next one was, someone said with the condensation issue that you might suffer, they said, you know, how about a dehumidifier? It's 2 problems with that. Firstly, if you look around, it's the space. I mean, there isn't room to swing a cat in here. There really isn't space for a large dehumidifier. We have one of the smaller ones, the little kind of desktop ones. We've had one upstairs, we've had it in the bedroom before we had our windows replaced, and we used to get condensation. They kind of work, but you really need one of the bigger ones. And as I say, there's not space, and to be honest, even if I got a mid-sized one and there was space, they use quite a lot of electricity as well. It's a bit of an overkill for a shed that I'm only going to be using partially. I mean, the little tube heater there, that uses, I think it's 120 watts when it's working all the time, and that's on a thermostat, so that's going to cost sort of pennies per day to run. But if you start running a dehumidifier, they are quite expensive, so that's not really sort of practical, and I'm hoping to get away with it. And then someone else said about mould, getting mould in the shed. Once if I'm in here and I run a little bit of heat, things getting damp, yeah, that might be an issue, because of course now I've got it all insulated, but it's not totally insulated, it's not airtight on the door here. The door has been left and there's gaps all around the bottom of the door. It's not a brilliant fit, that door, to be honest. So I'm hoping that there's going to be a little bit of airflow, a little bit of air coming into the shed, and that should just be enough to stop it getting sort of any mould and dampness. If that is the case and I do start getting mould, then yeah, I'm going to have to start putting maybe a couple of grills, punch something through here, maybe not a fan. I think the guy suggested a fan, but I might just have a couple of sort of static type air grills just to let a little bit of air in, but that I'll have to find out. You know, we'll find out in the future. I don't know, this is all a bit kind of sort of new to me, but anyway, I'd like to say thank you. Those were the first 3 comments that I've read and come in. I'm sure there's more comments on the video. You get into a situation, you end up spending more time on like answering the comments on the video than actually doing the work, but I want to crack on and get a little bit more done today. But anyway, thank you for those comments, and right, let's get some work done. Going to turn at some heating now in the shed, just a little bit of background heating. I've got one of these tube heaters. Typically you might have these in a greenhouse or shed or in a cupboard or something. It's just a little bit of background heating. This is a 120 watt tube. It was advertised as being made by Dimplex, but when it's turned up it's actually GDC, but I'm sure it's the same thing. So yeah, the idea is basically it's a 3-foot heater. It's just going to put out a little bit of background sort of ambient heating, stop the place from absolutely freezing. It does have a little thermostat on the end there, so you can sort of, it's got no indicator light, which is a bit of a pain, so it does click and click off, I assume. And yeah, just going to fit it below that shelf there just to get us a little bit of heat. I say, being 120 watts, it's obviously not going to be on all the time, so it's literally going to cost pennies to run it. It's just basically like having a light switched on every now and then. And yeah, hopefully I'm going to get my little testing thing on it in a second when I get it all heated up, and we'll see what temperature it sort of puts out. But yeah, anyway, let's get that fitted. The way the fixings work is pretty easy really. You just put the two little sort of U parts on your wall, then you put the heater on top, and then you get the top part of the clamp, and that just slides on there just like that. And then a bit difficult to do one-handed. Just like that, and then you've got two small little screws, just drop in there, screw that down, and that secures it. And yeah, it's quite a good solution really. Like I say, it's just under a metre long. Right, I'm going to get that screwed up, and then we can sort of switch it on, crank it up, and see what sort of heat it produces. I'm going to take the temperature before we start. A little bit chilly today. There we go. So around about 10 degrees there. Yeah, 9 degrees on the back of the shed. About 10 degrees on the tube where I've been touching it. So we're going to switch it on now, and I'm going to leave it for a bit, and we'll see how hot it gets. I've turned the thermostat right up to its maximum. I'm not going to run it like that all the time. But yeah, it's a shame it hasn't got a little light. I think a little neon light would have been quite handy. You can hear the thermostat click and click off if it's if you're in a quiet room, but I'd like to have had a light on that, to be honest with you. But anyway, right, okay, we're going to leave that for a few minutes, and then we'll come back and see how hot it gets. Right, that's been on for about 10 minutes, and I tell you what, guys, I'm bloody impressed. 120 watts, which is, what, two 60-watt light bulbs. I can't keep my hand on it. It's really blooming hot. I've got a little temperature thing here. So it was 10 degrees when we started. See what we've got it now. Get it up on there. You see that 73? 73 degrees centigrade. That's blooming hot. Do you know what? I'm quite impressed. You can actually feel some of the heat. You can actually feel the heat coming off it as well. I didn't think it would be that hot. Check the plug. Well, the plug and the wire is stone cold. It's only 120 watts. It's not going to be drawing that many amps, is it? But do you know, that's really impressive. Until once I get everything fitted in here and I can keep the door shut. Obviously, I've got the door open, so I mean the ambient temperature. Yeah, I mean above it, look, 14 or 20 degrees. And it drops right down because I say it's all in the open. But that I'm impressed with. That is pretty good for 20. Was it 20 pounds? Just over 20 pounds delivered. I'll have to check on Amazon. But I'm quite impressed with that. Anyway, next job is to sort out this 213. Work out how this is going to work with the radios. I've got the radios in here. I've got the little linear amplifier that we're going to use, and the little President Truman. I'm very impressed with that as well. And we'll work out how that is going to fit on the shelf. But yeah, we've got a little bit of heat in here. It's getting quite cosy. Get me Keeney on. Well, no, maybe not. Okay, right, let's crack on with this. So, as I mentioned on the video before, over on Fredge in Shed 1, I did have some of this 213 cable. I'd already previously bought it and never got around to using it. So that's what I'm going to be using. I think if I started from scratch, going by what people have said, the ratings, I would go for the Messi Ampoloni Ultraflex. I think it's the Ultraflex 7. It's a lot thinner and a lot more flexible than the 213, and it's also equally low loss. And the Messi Ampoloni sort of connectors do look very, very nice. Again, it's quite expensive really, but if I was going to upgrade completely, I think that's what I would go for. What I'm going to do though, because this obviously isn't that flexible, especially when it's cold, and I'm using very small radios, and they're going to get pulled around by the cable. So I've ordered in some of these little right angle connections here, these 259 little right angle connections that go into the back of your radio or amplifier, and just help to take some of the strain from the cable, because these get sort of pulled around. These were about, I think about 15 or 16 pounds for 5 delivered from Amazon. I've not used them before, so we'll be giving those a go. Certainly we'll do the interconnect, which is my next job between the amplifier and the radio. So better crack on with that. Oh, got a nice bit of heat in there. Nice bit of heat in this shed. That's a real nice hand warmer. Anyway, let's crack on with that bit. That's the 213 antenna connected. You can sort of see that little link bracket that I've made there. with those right angles, and just takes the strain out of the cable. That seems to work quite well. So just the power sort of management to do now. We've got obviously going to use these terminals here on, oh, there you go, here on the power supply unit. Try and tidy up all the power leads, but yeah, that's how I'm thinking it's going to work. Got a little Truman on there and a little Satagi next to it, and then what I've done, I've drilled a hole through the shelf so I can, if I want to run a HF radio, just run a HF radio down at the bottom there where I've got a little bit more room. But it just, at the moment, it's just, I know someone said you could put a lot more shelves on, yeah, and I probably could, but it just frees up a little bit of room down at the bottom there. So the next thing I think is we're going to recover this, because I say this has had a few little chips and you know, scrapes I've drilled into it and things written on it. So I think we're just going to make that look a little bit better, and I might just cover the top of the shelf as well at the same time if I've got enough material, just so it basically gives it a little bit of grip for the radios. So yeah, let's crack on with that. So this is what we're going to use just to tidy up the bench. It's a rubber floor matting really. I think you'd sort of put down maybe in the garage or even the floor of the shed. It's got a sort of a diamond pattern on it, made out of rubber. But I thought that just on the bench there, it's about 3mm thick. And yeah, I just thought that'd make a nice sort of surface. It'd be quite grippy as well, and smarten everything up. Ta-da! There you go. What do you think? Needs to flatten out a little bit where it was rolled up, but I think that's tidied it up quite nicely. Smells of rubber tyres. It's kind of nice, I suppose, if you're into that sort of thing. But I'm sure the smell will go away a little bit. But yeah, it just gives me a nice flat surface to work on, to put sort of radios on, things like that. And I think it tidies things up quite nicely. There we go. We even got a little bit left over just for the top shelf. Give those radios a little bit of grip there, stop them sliding around. And I'm quite impressed with that. I think that just will give me a nice surface to work with, and won't sort of reflect any light when I do the videos. But there you go. So we got a heater and we got rubber. Take that where you want to take it. Quite does smell of like Pirelli tyres in here, I tell you. But there you go. Anyway, going to move on and start fitting some radios, I think.
And 1.2, 1.3 is the max. But I found by getting that, you've got to shorten the aerial, so they're telescopic, aren't they? So
got the little Truman just set up with my new second-hand Kef little speaker there. They got from eBay, just £13. Delivered, I think it was as well. So I'm well pleased with that. Solid aluminium or aluminium. Just a smaller version of the little speakers that I've got in.
Yeah, I'm not.
Smaller version of the speakers that I've got in the living room there. Very nice quality speaker, and yeah, quite a nice little sound on the FM there from the Truman.
Ferrite clips on the coax, but I don't think they really do much, to be honest.
That's Dave there from Elstree, just talking about antennas and coax. Cut this bit in because I'm quite excited. I'm just a big kid. Just got these LED light bulbs here from Amazon. Not particularly cheap, but we're going to sort of see what they're like. They're 4 watts in power consumption. They've got about a 20 watt output, I think. I don't know if they're going to be radio friendly at the moment. We're going to find out at some point in the future. But wow, look at that. They really are like kind of retro. It's got that sort of mad Professor Workshop look, which is kind of what I was after, like Frankenstein's workshop look. But let's switch those on. Whoa, switch the other one off. Oh wow, what do you think of that? That's kind of really quite a nice cosy light. I'm going to probably get an LED strip light to go underneath the power supply unit there for the radios. But isn't that lovely? They're really nice. They've got a really nice kind of glow to them, and they're quite bright actually. They're a bit more yellow. The camera is sort of balancing them out, but they're more yellowy. They look a little bit white in the viewfinder there, but I really like them. I've just rushed out here to put them in. Like I say, that they're much more yellowy than they look on sort of film, but this is the effect that I wanted, a nice cosy effect when we've got the radios going, and yeah, I really quite sort of like it. So I just thought I'd share that a little bit, and still got quite a little bit of work to do on the sort of setup here on the shack, but yeah, liking those a bit more. Going to be going on in the shed shack. Going to fit this socket strip thing here. I chose this one because it has the 3 little USB outputs, and then we've got a little USB light that I'm going to fit under the shelf. It's already been asked in the comments whether this will produce RF. Will it? LED lighting is known to produce RF, especially on AM. And I don't know, there's be a transformer in here that drops this from 240 AC to 5 volts DC, so it'll be a rectifier and a transformer. That might buzz, that might cause an issue, and the USB light itself, once it's fitted, that might be an issue as well. And also these little bulbs, yeah, they're LED, there's no step down transformer as far as I'm aware in these, but I don't know if they might buzz, they might not. The thing is, it's mainly for show, to be honest. The whole thing is, sorry, that's my ruler there. The main thing is sort of set up really mostly for show, and when I run the radios, it's more likely going to be in the afternoons, and I won't need the additional lighting. So, but I will do I'll do a separate video when I've fitted this up, and I'll go around with a little radio, and we'll just see whether we get any noise. Anyway, we're going to fit this up today and to get that done. These little lights that you get quite cheaply now on Amazon and eBay, they're quite impressive really. I chose this one because it has mechanical switches, and you've got 2 levels of light on this. That's a very white, bright sort of light, different temperatures, and then you've got a cool yellowy kind of light, or you can have sort of both or not. So I thought that might make interesting for the videos. So I don't know how RF friendly this is going to be, but yeah, quite an impressive little light. It wasn't expensive either. I think it was less than about £5 or £6 or something like that. And anyway, let's get let's get that fitted. It's amazing what you can get on Amazon these days. And that's it. That's fitted. Just gives me a little bit of light here if I want to work on the bench, of course. And yeah, quite pleased with that. Fits under there. Quite nice, quite clever. Another little thing that's fallen. Oh, good job it's made out of aluminium, isn't it? Butterfingers. Another thing I've got is just a little temperature and humidifier device here. It just tells me, I did have a barometer in here, but it wasn't working particularly well. It gives me minimum and maximum temperature, but more importantly, it's just got a sort of barometer at the bottom there, and gives me an indication. So it's a maximum of 90% humidity in here earlier when the sun was out. We're about 74%, so I can just monitor the humidity and just find out if that sort of tube heater is going to be causing me condensation problems. I'm going to get one of those sort of crystal-based dehumidifiers. You know, the ones that like absorb the silica. It's got the silica cell and silica sort of stuff in it, and it just absorbs the moisture. And I'm going to put one of those in there as well. But yeah, right, okay. I think we just do one final little setup now. And I think you'll agree it's looking quite good in here.
You mate, we're always on as you know, and yeah, I'll try and catch you on this 5net one afternoon.
Got Jake there chatting along on his 35 FM group. Nice little group there. So I'm going to bring this one to a close on Fred in the Shed 2, and I'm just going to do a little quick video for Fred in the Shed 1 to let all those people that don't follow Fred in the Shed 2, let get them up to speed so they can sort of catch up. But yeah, overall, you know, it's still not, still not completely finished. I've got all my tools here that I need to set up down here again, so I'll have all my tools to hand and sort of screwdriver sets, things like that. But I'm going to get really busy now at work, so I don't know what time I will get out here to finish it. But as for now, yeah, I think I'm really pleased how it's come out. This is going to be so good to come out here next year, 2021. The summer cycle, sunspot cycles are going to be increasing, so I'm hoping to get a lot of skip. Coming through. We had a lot of skip this year, so next year definitely going to be a really good year for skip. And yeah, I'm going to be ready for it. I'm going to be ready to set up and do some videos, get some sideband radios in here, maybe a HF radio, and shoot some videos. And yeah, so I'm really pleased how it's looking, how it's come out. Let me know what you think in the comments. You might not like it. You might think it looks a load of rubbish. But yeah, I'm actually really pleased. Thanks for sticking with this. Those little Shed Shack renovation videos. Hope you've enjoyed them. I've enjoyed making them. And yeah, as always, cheers. There's the old fun. Please stay safe. Dodgy times out there. And yeah, I'll catch you all on the next one. Cheers, guys.
That's right.